Welcome to Sounds of Resistance channel. The balances between Ukraine and Russia are changing, which affects the whole world economically, diplomatically, and militarily. As a result of the determination and resistance of the Ukrainian warriors, the ammunition of the Russian army came to the point of exhaustion in just 4 months, and the Russian soldiers began to rebel against their commander, Putin. The Russian army came to the point of psychological collapse as a result of the heavy pressure of the Ukrainian warriors and the inhuman living conditions in the Russian army, and they tried to escape at every opportunity. Even Putin's most elite troops turned against him, refusing to fight in the Ukraine. Putin's army has not achieved any tangible success in the past 7 months, and the Russian defense has failed to achieve any of its objectives, which the authorities loudly declared. For the Russian army, the past 7 months in Ukraine had devastating consequences, and Putin had to fire 40% of the army's command center commanders. According to independent intelligence sources, it is stated that the Russian army lost around 3,000 in the most trained ranks of captain and above. In addition, the Russians lost more than 100 senior commanders in the ranks of colonel and above. In addition to these special losses, the Russian army had lost close to 50,000 soldiers and thousands of armored vehicles until September. However, the physiological and psychological exhaustion within the Russian army, which we have just mentioned, brought the so-called special military operation of Russia to a standstill. Ukrainian fighters carried out a series of key operations in the Crimea and Kherson region in August, causing the Kremlin to panic. Crossing points in the Kherson region were placed under fire control of Ukrainian artillery and air forces, and more than 20,000 Russian troops were trapped in the area. The Russian army did not want to lose a strategic city like this Kherson, and started to move the troops in the east towards Kherson. This was the opportunity that Ukraine had been waiting for, and as of September, the Ukrainian armed forces launched a large-scale ground operation in both the south, east, and north, destroying the Russian army. The unsupported self-confidence of the Russians had blinded them, and they spent all their days persecuting and drinking in the Ukrainian cities they occupied. As a result of the Iron Fist operation launched by the Ukrainian warriors on September 1st, he achieved crushing victories against the invaders in the cities of Kharkiv in the north and Kherson in the south. The Ukrainian army seized control in the northeast of the country and cleared Kupiansk and Izium, which are the most important cities in this region, from the Russian enemy troops. In addition, the highest-ranking general of the Russian army, who led the operations in the eastern Ukraine, was taken prisoner by the Ukrainian army. Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin administration went mad with the frustration in Kharkiv. The victories of the Ukrainian warriors were effective enough to force the Russian military structure to change. While the effect of the Great Shock in Kharkiv still continues in the Kremlin as a result of the Russian army's defeat in the Kherson region, Vladimir Putin fired the top general of the Russian army who led the operations in the western Ukraine region. Russian leader Putin dismissed the commander of the Western Army Group, Lieutenant General Berdnikov, just 17 days after his appointment. On the orders of Putin, Lieutenant General Alexander Lapin and his staff will lead the command of the Western Army Group instead of Lieutenant General Berdnikov. Lieutenant General Berdnikov took office on the 26th of August, succeeding Lieutenant General Sychevy. Before Lieutenant General Berdnikov, Putin fired 6 of the highest-ranking Russian generals who led the Ukrainian operations. Berdnikov became the 7th general fired by Putin. While the legendary achievements of Ukraine completely destroyed the military structure of the Russian army, it is remarkable that the Russian army lost its most authoritative senior generals in eastern and southern Ukraine in just 1 week. In our previous videos, we have mentioned the detail of the Russian generals who were eliminated by the Ukrainian army. As of now, it is known that 10 generals in the Russian army were killed, 7 generals were expelled by Putin, and 1 general was taken prisoner by the Ukrainian army. So far, Ukraine has managed to recapture twice as much of London's territory from enemy Russian troops. The UK Ministry of Defense stated that the morale of Russian leader Putin and his army is at the bottom, and that if the process continues like this, Russia will lose much more territory. Putin also ordered the withdrawal of troops stationed in Kharkiv. Returning empty-handed from Kharkiv, Russia is too tired for a long time to drop any offensive plans against Ukraine. Wondering when the Ukrainian army got so strong, the Russians still could not figure out the Ukrainian war tactics. The Ukrainian army is highly influenced by the Sun Tzu martial art in terms of military strategy policies. Traces of this martial art can be seen in the counterattacks of the Ukrainian army. According to this philosophy of war, it is the sure way of victory to bring soldiers with the expected strength against the enemy and send the real special forces to the side of the enemy. Ukraine has so far recaptured more than 6,000 square kilometers of territory from the Russians. Praise has come from the United States for these epic operations in Ukraine. The heroic army of Ukraine is also thinking of saving Crimea. Crimea, which has a very important strategic importance for the Russians, has a serious importance to cut off the communication in the eastern part of Ukraine. No one knows the steps of the plan that Ukrainian leader Zelensky had in mind. You might see that the next morning, in the headlines of the newspaper, it may be written that the Ukrainian army recaptured the Crimea. The Russian administration and the Russian army are also very afraid of these possibilities. The question everyone is wondering is when the Ukrainian-Russian war will end. When will Putin stop this unserious attitude? Will Russian leader Vladimir Putin continue this war until the Russian economy collapses? Or will the Russian people put an end to this madness and lead a revolution by removing Putin from his seat? All are possibilities. Regardless of the outcome, it is clear that Russia will be the losing side. The decision that Putin must take is to withdraw without further harming the Russian people and the economy of his country. In this period when things are heating up on the hot tension line, the Russian leader is constantly acting without thinking and experiencing losses. He avoids responsibility by inflicting the cost of this on his people and his army. Another curious subject is Russia's energy policy. In the winter ahead, Russia exports natural gas and oil to many countries. Russia has to sell this natural gas and oil to supply military resources. Putin's attitude is still the same in this regard. No statement has yet been received from Gazprom. Putin has tried to approach many countries for energy exports so far. China is one of these countries. This policy of Putin does not seem possible at the moment, at least in the short term. Even if Russian leader Putin wants to realize this possibility, very serious costs must be sacrificed in order to export Russian oil and natural gas to China. Russia, which is at war, needs miracles to bear these costs. There are many parliament members and bureaucrats within the Kremlin administration who consider the policies followed by Putin as insane and oppose Putin. The Russian administration, like the Russian army, is in a situation suitable for civil wars. Now, let's go back to the early days of the war together. Russia had launched attacks on Kiev without thinking. Incessant bombardments, missiles, artillery shells. After the declaration of war, Russian troops launched a ground operation from the Ukrainian border and massacred dozens of civilians. Russian leader Vladimir Putin greatly underestimated Ukraine in his eyes. Putin was confident that he would leave the war with a decisive victory. But things didn't go as planned. The Ukrainian army and its brave people, whom he despised, have now become Russia's worst nightmare. Now let's talk about a possibility. The Russia-Ukraine war is not an issue that will be resolved in a short time. In fact, Putin will determine the field of this war, which takes place on the territory of Ukraine and spreads beyond the border from time to time. We know about the victories of Ukraine in the northeastern region and the latest situation in cities such as Kherson and Kharkiv. If Russian leader Vladimir Putin doesn't put aside these crazy, egotistical dreams, he can watch his entire army disappear in Ukraine. Russia is not aware of the danger in the future, but when the time comes, it will be too late for the Russians. We hope that the Ukrainians victoriously liberate all their lands. Thanks for watching.